he hasn't really figured out that whole bring it all the way back to me thing yet. But he's, you know, a cat that fetches is still pretty cool. Metric. You would think as many times as I've done this, I'd remember that. Now, there's three things I want you to remember when you're changing the oil on your vehicle. One, the oil filter does not have to be so tight that it requires the strength of Captain America to get the thing off, okay? There's a gasket there. You oil the gasket, you tighten it up snug, okay? Snug, and I mean snug, tight, like where it's not going to leak, but it's not so tight that, again, you need the help of a superhero to get it off. The second thing to remember is always make sure that the mat that you're laying on is at least 3 feet away from where you're actually laying, so you are laying on the concrete. It really helps your back. The third thing to remember is when you need your paper towels, make sure that they're at least within the distance of your right foot to be able to kick it back to you, and not right here where you actually need them. There's a couple of other things to try to remember not to do when you're changing the oil in your vehicle. Remember, you can do it. You don't have to pay somebody to do it. Also, always try to drop the oil filter from where it's being unscrewed into the pan so it splashes out everywhere, and really the use of the pan is absolutely no good to you. Also, always remember to use jack stands and not just the jack under the front of your vehicle, because it's dangerous to use just the jack, because the life that you save could be your own, and quite possibly the guy at Harbor Freight that said this was a great jack and he's never had a problem with it. I personally like using K&N oil filters. 2 reasons. 1, they're very trustworthy. They've been around a long time. They know what they're doing. And 2, it has this really convenient nut on the bottom that you can use your ratchet to get this thing snug up to the engine and get it off easily. And don't forget to put oil on the gasket, okay, when you screw it up to the engine, because if you don't, it's going to mess that gasket up, because you're putting a dry gasket right against the engine that you just wiped off, and you don't want to take a chance on creating a leak on an expensive oil filter. Also remember to wipe your gloves off really good, or your hands, and get the oil off before you cut your GoPro off, because even though the oil gives your GoPro an extremely nice sheen and shiny and brand new look, if you do any kind of fishing like I do and you're around the side of a lake, when you go to cut your GoPro off and it's covered in shiny, sheeny oil, it can very easily act like a wet bar of soap and wind up in the lake. Just a few tips from your friends here at the Grayt Outdoors. Don't leave your hat under the truck either. Automobile maintenance tip number 305. Always remember to wipe your tools down. Get all the oil and the gunk off of them, because I'm going to tell you right now, there is nothing more annoying than having to listen to your wife fuss about grabbing a wrench out of your toolbox and it's covered in oil. Tech tip number 4,212.3. No matter how good you think you are at hitting that hole right there with this oil, well, let me just tell you, you're not, okay? Use a funnel, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up losing a third of this down the side of the engine, which will stink and burn and smoke, and you'll never know if your car is actually leaking or your truck is actually leaking, because you'll have oil all over the side of the engine. Just saying. This is when you second guess yourself as to whether or not you tighten the oil filter and the oil plug. After checking to make sure that they're both tight, then you can put the oil in. Don't forget that part. Very important part. Also, I use Mobil 1. It's a high mileage oil and it's all synthetic. It's kind of proven itself on numerous occasions. Plus, my truck has got right at 100,000 miles. Even though it's an 04, it's got 100,000 miles on it, which is really good for an 04. Protects for 10,000 miles, but I still change it every 3,500 because the truck tells me to. Otherwise, it just sits there and beeps and drives me crazy until I change it. Tech tip 4,563,000. Always do this with the funnel to get all the oil out. I don't know that it really does anything, but everybody does it. It's the end thing. I wish I had come up with this. I hear everybody's doing it now. Tech tip 11. Don't leave the GoPro under the hood. Alright, this is something I wanted to show you guys real quick. And again, this is not something that would really necessarily make an entire video, so that's why I thought I would just add this in here real quick to show you this reel, because it's real cool. So I'm going to take it apart. This obviously is a Johnson Century Model 100B. Now, in the early on editions of the Model 100B, you take a look, see you got the rather large, and that's copper from what I can see, copper C-clip that holds this thing together, keeps the spool down. This one's really cool because it still has the 10-pound tag on it for where it had 10-pound line that it came with. This was one of the reels that came in the bag that I got from Andy, and it was a strange color green, just a very odd shade of green, almost like an oil slick kind of color green. It's kind of weird. But fortunately, both the cap and the side panels matched. It's kind of cool. But I wanted to show you this because this, according to Gary, when I talked to him, this is a very early edition of this reel, which if you notice, I don't know if you can see in there, I'm not going to tear it down that far, but you have a wide drag bar up there. You can see those two right there. This is what we pretty much know as the drag bar for most Johnson Century 100Bs. Just a thin piece of, this is brass. Well, in your earlier model, you had this one. It was a wider paddle style, as you can see. This one has kind of straightened itself out. They do that after a while of the drag being too tight. But you know, you got that little bend that faces outward from the drag shoes. And then you have two different drag shoes. As you see, the larger drag shoe for that earlier model 100B, and there is your later model 100B drag shoe. So you see there's a little bit of a difference there. Move those out of the way. Now I've already gone through this reel, but I wanted to show you this. And again, this was something that wasn't, you know, really worthy of being an entire video. Okay, this gear, you can see it's made just a little different, and it also has a bronze kind of color to it. I'm not sure if the GoPro is picking that up or not, but if you can see, it's got like a bronze tinge to it, and it's a really strong, I mean, it's tough. That is a thick gear. I don't know what that thing is made of, but it was in great shape. There's one tooth on there that's a little messed up, and that is it, and has a little bit of a grind to it, but it's a very strong gear. Now, the other weird part is if you can see inside there, notice how that gear is perfectly straight, and it's that way all the way across. There's no flat on some of the gears, the pinion gears for these. There's no flat spot on either side, okay? It's an open gear all the way to the top, and it sits right up against the body, right up against the housing. Also, the spring does not have a C-clip or one of those little plastic bushings that hold the spring on. It's a wire clip that's actually pinched around the base. Now, personal opinion, and that's all this is, I think if Johnson had still been making this reel today, the way they have this one made, I am pretty doggone sure they would have lasted a long time. But I think, and this is just my opinion again, I think what happened, somebody got involved and said, the parts that you're putting in there, the way that they're made, it costs too much. We need to do something different. That's just me speaking out loud, but if they would have kept making this reel, I am pretty doggone sure they'd still be around today. That's just me. Now, to be perfectly honest, I had no real intentions of using this reel. It was so nice and so smooth and such a, to me, a rarity because of its build, the build quality, as opposed to every other Johnson Century 100B. I wasn't even going to use it. I was not going to use this, but that's not what this channel is about. I'm not a collector. I do have a lot, and you might say what you see behind me is a collection, but it's not. It is a functioning museum, I guess you'd say. That's what I'd say. I'm not going to guess what you'd say. Some of you and what you're saying, I don't even want to think about what you're probably saying. And I definitely don't want to guess. But I just thought it'd probably be a good idea to go ahead and put some line on this thing and actually take it out and fish it. Let's just catch a couple things with it. And from that point, it's going to probably go back in the cabinet over here, because in my cabinet, I do have the beginning of it all down to a 45th anniversary. So I have a 100 all the way down to the 45th anniversary. I actually have a model 80 just before the Model 100 Century, because I think that 80 is kind of where everybody went. That Sidewinder is where things stopped and the Century came in. And then you had the Citation to come in with it and all of that. So I have all that in there. And this one was so nice. I couldn't resist. The one I had in there, I took out and put this guy in there. But again, that's not what our channel's about. We're about using stuff, taking it out and fishing with it, no matter how nice it is. And let's just put some line on this thing, put it on a rod, and let's go fish with it. I mean, it's a fishing reel. It's not a viewing reel. That would be a movie. You understand what I mean. I'm going to turn around this way and talk to you real quick because the wind is blowing 100 miles an hour out here. And I do not have a good microphone for this camera because they cost $250. Just don't have that to spend on a microphone right now. But we're here and we're going to try old Sweet Pea here. See how he does. All right, decided to switch to a worm and do a little bit of a wacky worm thing here because nothing was hitting on any of the grubs. And we only have a little time to kill here, so we're just trying to make sure this thing works like it's supposed to, which I'm telling you now, this thing is really nice. In the vast realm of Johnson Centuries, I may have the bestest one ever made. Oh, we're getting hit. We're getting hit. I think he's on. I think he's on. Yep, he was on. That's a good fish there, it feels like. I don't know if y'all can hear the smooth on this reel, but yeah, he's okay. He's okay. He's okay. Got a hook through his bottom lip. Stop. Oh, and he just put a spine right in my hand. You know what that's going to get you? That's going to get you a sideways toss. Not very big, but he's caught anyway. So now we just take our worm and we work it back down to where it came from. Look at that. Look what he did to me. Look, that's going to hurt for a month. It's always the little ones that hurt, like paper cuts and things like that. Broken fingernail, those are the ones that hurt. Fish spine. Now I'm just using a, this is actually a Z-Man, little 3-inch. And I like using these things. And I'm wacky rigging it, just to kind of see what we can do. I'm telling you right now, that hurts. Cut me like that. I hope he goes back out to his friends embarrassed. Man, this thing's nice. I'm not kidding y'all. This is a nice reel right here. Oh, we're getting hit. We're getting hit. And we got him. Ooh, that's a good fish. That was like yanking up on a log. Yes, sir. That was like pulling up on a log is what like that was. That's I can't even talk. Let's get you in. Don't jump. Please don't jump. He ain't huge, but man, I ain't joking. He must have been hiding under a log when I set the hook on him. Set the hook on you. Very nice. I'm sorry, Mr. Fish. I'm gonna have to throw you a little bit to get you out there. Ooh, that was not good. It probably hurt. I didn't mean to though. Well, that's a first. I got to tell you, people. I wish I'd have had the camera on. I was letting the bait fall to the ground and fall to the bottom, and it just started swimming out. He had way too much time to get to that one. I mean, it just started swimming out, started getting tight. Yeah, that was weird. That my line just started swimming away. He's not big, but he was happy to eat today. See ya. All right, let's try that again. Got a little snaggy there. That's okay. Let's just let that fall and see if that thing takes off again. Hey, hey, hey. It is. It's taking off again. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, it's an okay one. It's a fish. I'm pretty sure. That is the weirdest thing, man. I'm not even having to let it get to the bottom. They're just hitting it while it's falling. Don't you jump. There's no need for you to jump. It's just not necessary. You jumped. I told you it wasn't necessary. Come up here. Stop playing. That is the weirdest thing, man, that these things are doing that. Another one, not too bad. And that's pretty much in the same place that I caught the other one. So, we've been working on Evan's room off and on in the last week or so, and Evan has a, how do I say this? His room is extremely hot inside. It has one vent for the air conditioner, and that's in the ceiling. And with all of his computer equipment, gaming equipment, TVs, all that stuff that he's bought and put in there, that room stays pretty baked. Yeah, that's the best I can tell you. We bought one of these portable air conditioning units for the summertime, and we've been hooking that up today, but I got to go by my buddy Ronnie's house and get a piece of board cut that's going to fit next to the window vent or whatever that thing is. So anyway, he just called me and said he's home, so we're going to head over there and get a piece of board cut. I tell you, man, the day never ends around here. It just never does. You might think it does, or you might wish it did. I might wish it did. I really wish it did. But we got to fish for an hour, and that's what matters. Actually, there's a lot of other things that matter, but I got to fish, and that's important. Okay, we have our fancy piece of wood cut. Now we can go make it cool off a little bit in Evan's bedroom. That's the objective here. We want to turn Evan's bedroom into a freezer. That's the objective. Might not be his objective, but it's my objective. So here we are at the last part of our day. We're up here in Evan's room after I went and got the board cut from my buddy Ronnie, and we came back here and had to put him a temporary air condition in the bedroom, because I don't know if you can see it or not, but up there, that one vent feeds this whole room. And if you notice behind me, there's all kinds of computer equipment back there, and the screen puts off a lot of heat, and that TV puts off a lot of heat, which is usually where I'm sitting staring at when he's editing, which is where I'll be sitting and staring at when we're editing this. And there is our finished product over there. It is one of those temporary, you know, move it around, take it place to place kind of air conditioning units. We just had to build that little contraption there so it will block off and keep from sucking in unwanted guests like bugs and such, and heat for that matter. So after that's built, he's pretty much ready to go, to be honest with you. He's going to give it a test tomorrow. It's actually cooled off because now it's 8:15, so it's not as hot as it was, so it's cooled off a bit. But tomorrow, when the sun gets up nice and bright and high over top of the house again and starts cooking the roof, he'll fire this thing up and we'll just see how it does. It did good earlier, so I think we'll be okay now. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. This was weird, I understand, but it's kind of a day in the life of me and the things I randomly do throughout the day. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Just a little something out there to let you see how things go around here sometimes. Appreciate you watching. Thank you all very much, and we will see you on the next one, whatever the next one may be, because honestly, you just don't know. Do they? Nope. You just don't know.